I've been invisible for 3 years. Not literally, of course. But when you're the backup goalkeeper for Crestwood High's soccer team, sitting on the bench game after game, season after season, you might as well be a ghost. People see the players on the field. They see the goals, the saves, the glory. They don't see the guy in the too big jersey holding a water bottle, watching everything unfold from the sidelines. My name is Jonah Whitlock. I'm 17, a senior at Crestwood High in Portland, Oregon. And for 3 years, I've lived in the shadow of Blaine Ketter. Blaine is everything I'm not. 6'2", broad-shouldered, with that effortless confidence that makes people turn their heads when he walks into a room. Star striker, team captain, the guy college scouts come specifically to watch. His uncle is our coach, which definitely doesn't hurt. And me? I've been his best friend since we were 8 years old, back when we'd kick a ball around in his backyard and dream about playing professionally together. Somewhere along the way, only one of us kept rising. The other one learned to be okay with watching, or at least, that's what I told myself. Jonah, you coming or what? I looked up from my locker to see Rowan Lee leaning against the wall, backpack slung over one shoulder. Rowan was one of the team's defenders, solid, reliable, the kind of player who didn't chase glory but made sure the team functioned. We'd become friends over the past year, bonding over our shared position as supporting cast in Blaine's highlight reel. Yeah, just grabbing my stuff, I said, shoving my chemistry textbook into my bag. Big practice today, Rowan said as we headed toward the gym. Coach Ketter says there's a scout coming Friday. University of Washington. My stomach tightened. Another scout. Another game where I'd watch from the bench while Blaine performed for an audience that could change his life. Cool, I managed. Rowan gave me a sideways look. You ever think about talking to Coach? About getting some actual playing time? I laughed, but it came out hollow. Coach Ketter has his starting lineup. Has for 3 years. Why mess with what works? Because you're good, Jonah. Like really good. I've seen you in practice. Practice isn't the same as a real game. How would you know? You've never played in one. The words stung because they were true. In 3 years, I'd played a total of 47 minutes of actual game time. Garbage minutes at the end of blowout victories when the outcome was already decided. Never when it mattered. Never when scouts were watching. We reached the locker room, and the familiar smell of sweat and liniment hit me. The team was already suiting up, the usual pre-practice energy filling the space. And there, holding court in the center of it all, was Blaine. So I told him, if you can't keep up, maybe JV is more your speed, Blaine was saying, and the guys around him laughed. He had that effect on people, magnetic. When Blaine spoke, people listened. He spotted me and his face lit up. Jonah, there's my guy. Come here, man. I walked over, and Blaine threw an arm around my shoulders. To anyone watching, we looked like brothers. Best friends since elementary school. Inseparable. Listen, Blaine said, lowering his voice slightly. Can you come over tonight, after practice? Sure, what's up? Just need to talk through some stuff. Friday's game, the scout, you know. My head's all over the place. I knew this routine. I'd been doing it for years. Blaine would come to me the night before big games, anxiety written all over his face, and I'd calm him down. We'd sit in my garage with the whiteboard I'd bought sophomore year, and I'd walk him through plays, scenarios, positioning. I'd sketch out where the opposing team's weaknesses were, how he could exploit them, what movements would create the space he needed. Blaine called it getting in the zone. I called it coaching. Yeah, of course, I said. 7 okay? Perfect, you're the best, man, seriously. He clapped me on the back and turned back to his audience. I went to my locker and started changing. Across the room, I caught Rowan watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Practice was the same as always. Coach Ketter ran us through drills, passing sequences, shooting practice, defensive formations. I worked with the other backup keeper, a sophomore named Marcus, taking shots and practicing our dives. I was good at this part. The technical stuff came naturally to me. Reading angles, anticipating trajectory, understanding the geometry of the goal, but technical skill didn't matter when you never got to use it. Halfway through practice, Coach Ketter blew his whistle. "All right, scrimmage time, first string versus second string. Let's see what you've got." My heart rate picked up. Scrimmages were the closest I got to real play. I took my position in goal for the second string team while the starting keeper, Devin, took the first string goal. The whistle blew, and the game began. For 20 minutes, I was alive. Every save, every dive, every moment of reading the play before it developed. This was what I lived for. I stopped 3 shots from Blaine, including one that had him shaking his head in frustration. "Come on, Jonah, don't make me look bad," he called out, grinning. But I could see the edge beneath the smile. Blaine didn't like being stopped, even in practice. Near the end of the scrimmage, one of the second-string forwards made a run down the left side. I saw Blaine tracking back, saw the space opening up. Without thinking, I shouted, "Switch off! Cut the angle!" Blaine adjusted immediately, cutting off the passing lane exactly as I'd instructed. The play broke down, and first string maintained possession. Coach Ketter blew the whistle. "Good awareness, Blaine. Nice defensive read." Blaine jogged back, not acknowledging my call. Why would he? Coaches didn't praise the guy who spotted the play. They praised the guy who executed it. After practice, I showered and headed home. My parents were both still at work. Dad at his accounting firm, Mom at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. So I had the house to myself. I made a sandwich, did some homework, and waited for Blaine. He showed up at 7 on the dot, walking into my garage like he owned it. Over the years, I'd turned this space into a kind of tactical headquarters. The whiteboard covered one wall, usually filled with plays and formations. I had a laptop set up with game footage, a printer for articles and scouting reports, notebooks filled with observations. "Man, I love this place," Blaine said, dropping his backpack. "It's like a war room." "Just organized," I said, erasing the old plays from the board. "So Friday, University of Washington, what are you worried about?" Blaine ran a hand through his hair, and for a moment, I saw past the confident exterior to the anxious kid underneath. This was the Blaine only I saw, the one who doubted himself, who felt the weight of expectations crushing down. "What if I freeze?" he said quietly. "What if I get out there and everything I'm supposed to do just disappears?" "That's not going to happen." "How do you know?" "Because I'll make sure it doesn't," I thought. But out loud I said, "Because we're going to prepare, like always. Tell me about Lincoln High's defense." For the next 2 hours we worked. I pulled up footage of Lincoln's last 3 games, breaking down their defensive patterns, identifying weaknesses. Their left back was aggressive, but got caught out of position. Their center backs were strong in the air, but slow to turn. Their keeper had a tendency to overcommit on one-on-ones. I drew it all out on the whiteboard, creating a map of opportunities for Blaine to exploit. "See here," I said, tapping the board. "When their left back pushes up, there's space behind him. If you time your run, call for the ball over the top, you'll be through on goal before he can recover." Blaine studied the board, nodding slowly. Okay, yeah, I see it." "And their keeper, watch this." I pulled up a clip from Lincoln's game last week. "See how he comes out early? He's trying to cut down the angle, but he leaves the far post exposed. If you round him and shoot across your body, it's an open net." "You're a genius, you know that," Blaine said, and his smile was genuine. "I don't know what I'd do without these sessions." "You'd figure it out," I said, but we both knew that wasn't true. No, seriously, Jonah. You see the game differently than anyone else. It's like you're watching from above or something. You see patterns I'd never notice. Pride swelled in my chest, warm and dangerous. This was my role, the strategist, the mind behind the talent. We ran through scenarios until almost 10, and by the time Blaine left, he was calm, focused, ready. As I watched him drive away, I felt that familiar mixture of satisfaction and emptiness. I'd done my job, I'd prepared him to shine, and on Friday I'd watch from the bench as he did exactly that. The next day at school, the energy was different. Word had spread about the UW scout, and everyone was talking about Blaine's future. In the cafeteria at lunch, I sat with Rowan and a few other guys from the team. "My cousin goes to UW," said Tyler, one of our midfielders. "Says their soccer program is insane. If Blaine gets a scholarship there, he's basically set." "When Blaine gets a scholarship," corrected another player. "Guy's unstoppable." Rowan caught my eye across the table but said nothing. I picked at my food, half listening to the conversation swirl around Blaine's inevitable success. It wasn't that I begrudged him his talent. Blaine was good, really good, but a small, bitter part of me wondered what he'd be without our sessions. Without my analysis, my strategies, my tactical mind breaking down every opponent. Would he still be the star everyone believed he was? "Jonah?" I looked up to find Blaine standing over our table, phone in hand. "Can I talk to you, privately?" We stepped out into the hallway, away from the cafeteria noise. "What's up?" I asked. Blaine's expression was tight, stressed. "The scout emailed Coach. He's not just watching the game Friday. He's doing interviews after, with me specifically." "That's great, Blaine. That's huge. He wants to know about my development as a player, my influences, who helped me get to this level." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What are you going to say?" Blaine looked at me, and for a moment I thought he'd acknowledge it. 3 years of late-night sessions, hundreds of hours of tactical preparation, every piece of advice that had shaped him into the player he was. "I don't know," he said. "What should I say?" The question hung between us. This was my chance, my opportunity to step out of the shadows, even just a little, to be recognized for what I'd contributed. "Just tell the truth," I said carefully. "Tell him about the work you've put in." Blaine nodded slowly. Yeah, you're right. I've worked my ass off for this. Time to show them what I've got." He clapped me on the shoulder and headed back to the cafeteria, leaving me standing alone in the hallway. Something about that conversation bothered me, but I couldn't put my finger on what. Thursday's practice was intense. Coach Ketter pushed us hard, fine-tuning every aspect of our game plan for Friday. I watched from goal during scrimmages, calling out adjustments that Blaine executed perfectly. Every successful play felt like mine and his together, a collaboration nobody else could see. After practice in the locker room, I overheard some of the guys talking. "Telling you Blaine's going Division I for sure? Did you see that run he made? Unreal vision. Natural talent, man. You can't teach that. Natural talent." I pulled my shirt over my head, the words echoing in my mind. Natural talent. As if everything Blaine did came from some innate gift, rather than hours of preparation and analysis. My preparation, my analysis. "You good?" Rowan was sitting on the bench beside me, lacing his cleats. "Yeah, fine." "You don't look fine." I wanted to tell him, wanted to explain the bitter taste in my mouth, the growing resentment I'd been pushing down for 3 years. But what would I say? That I was jealous of my best friend? That I wanted credit for his success? "Just ready for tomorrow," I said instead. Rowan studied me for a long moment. "You know what I think? I think you're one of the best players on this team, and nobody knows it because you've never been given a real chance to show it. Coach knows what he's doing. Does he? Or does he just favor his nephew? The words were out before I could stop them. Blaine earns his spot. Does he? Rowan stood up, slinging his bag over his shoulder. Or does someone else earn it for him? He walked away, before I could respond, leaving me alone with thoughts I'd been avoiding for years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every session with Blaine, every piece of tactical advice, every strategy that had led to his goals, his assists, his growing reputation. What would happen if I stopped? If I just didn't help him anymore? The thought felt like betrayal. Blaine was my best friend. We'd grown up together. His success was supposed to feel like my success too, but it didn't, not anymore. Friday arrived with clear skies and electric anticipation. The whole school was buzzing about the game, about the scout, about Blaine's future. I went through my classes in a daze, my mind already on the field, on the game I'd be watching from the sidelines. In the locker room before the game, Coach Ketter gathered us together. All right, boys, you know what's at stake today. Lincoln's tough, but we're tougher. Stick to the game plan, execute what we've practiced, and we'll walk away with a win. His eyes found Blaine. Some of you have extra eyes on you today. Don't let the pressure get in your head. Play your game. Blaine nodded, jaw set with determination. We took the field for warm-ups, and I spotted the scout immediately. A man in his 50s with a UW jacket, clipboard in hand, eyes tracking Blaine's every movement. The game started, and I took my usual position on the bench beside Marcus, the sophomore backup keeper. Think we'll get in today? Marcus asked hopefully. Doubt it, I said. Devin's solid. Coach won't pull him unless he has to. For the first 20 minutes, the game was evenly matched. Lincoln was good, better than the film had suggested. They were organized, disciplined, exploiting spaces in our defense that I'd noticed in practice but that Coach Ketter had waved away. Then, in the 23rd minute, Blaine got his chance. Exactly as I'd predicted, Lincoln's left back pushed too far upfield. One of our midfielders played a ball over the top, and Blaine was through, one-on-one with the keeper. I watched him round the keeper, just as we'd practiced. Watched him shoot across his body toward the far post. Goal. The crowd erupted. Our team mobbed Blaine, celebrating. On the sideline, the scout made a note on his clipboard. Blaine jogged back to position, and for just a second his eyes met mine. I expected acknowledgement, some kind of recognition, but he just nodded once and turned back to the game. That goal opened things up. By halftime, we were up 3-1, with Blaine scoring 2 of those goals. Every single one came from a scenario we'd mapped out in my garage. Every movement, every decision, pulled straight from our sessions. In the locker room at halftime, the team was euphoric. "Keep it up, boys," Coach Ketter shouted over the celebration. 45 more minutes of this, and we've got it locked down. Blaine, exceptional work out there. You're reading the game perfectly. Reading the game. As if Blaine had developed that ability alone. The second half was more of the same. We dominated possession, created chances, and Blaine scored his hat trick in the 68th minute. A perfectly timed run exploiting the exact weakness I'd identified in Lincoln's center backs. Final whistle, 5-2, a dominant performance. As the team celebrated on the field, I watched the scout approach Coach Ketter and Blaine. They talked for several minutes, the scout gesturing animatedly, clearly impressed. Then he pulled Blaine aside for what looked like a more serious conversation. I sat on the bench, sweat-soaked jersey clinging to my skin, despite not having played a single minute, and felt hollow. Hell of a game. Rowan dropped onto the bench beside me, breathing hard from 90 minutes of defending. "Yeah," I said. "Blaine was incredible." "Blaine executed what you taught him perfectly, you mean?" I looked at Rowan sharply. "What?" Come on, Jonah, I'm not blind. I've seen you too. Working together. I know where those plays come from. Blaine's talented. I'm not saying he isn't, but talent without strategy is just potential. You're the one who turns it into results. I didn't know what to say to that. Across the field, Blaine was still talking to the scout, both of them smiling. You should tell someone, Rowan said quietly. Tell them what? That I help my friend prepare for games? That's what friends do. Friends share credit. The words hit harder than I expected. Before I could respond, Coach Ketter blew his whistle, calling us to huddle up. Outstanding performance today, boys. Lincoln didn't know what hit them. He put his hand on Blaine's shoulder. And special recognition for our captain, who put on a clinic out there. 3 goals, 2 assists. That's the kind of play that gets noticed. The team applauded. Blaine grinned, soaking in the attention. The scout wants to do a brief interview with Blaine, Coach continued. Rest of you, hit the showers. Great work today. As everyone dispersed, I found myself walking slowly back toward the locker room. At the door, I paused and looked back. The scout had his phone out, recording. I could just barely hear his question carry across the field. So, Blaine, tell me, who would you credit for your development as a player? Who helped you become who you are today? I stopped walking. This was it. This was the moment Blaine would acknowledge our partnership. The years of work we'd put in together. Even just a mention would be enough. Just my name once. Blaine's voice was clear and confident. Honestly, nobody. I mean, Coach Ketter has been great, obviously, but in terms of my tactical development, my ability to read the game, that's all natural. I've always just had a good soccer IQ. Some people are born athletes, you know. They see things others don't. The scout nodded, impressed. Natural talent is rare. You're clearly gifted. I work hard too, Blaine added. Hours of practice, watching film on my own, studying the game. But yeah, I'd say it's mostly instinct. Either you have it or you don't. My stomach dropped. I stood there, frozen, as Blaine continued talking about his natural ability and instinctive understanding of the game. Every word was a knife, cutting deeper than the last. Nobody. He'd said nobody helped him. 3 years of work, hundreds of hours. Every tactical insight I'd given him, every weakness I'd identified, every strategy I'd developed, dismissed as natural talent. Jonah? I turned to find Rowan standing behind me. From his expression, he'd heard everything too. I'm sorry, man, he said softly. I couldn't speak. If I opened my mouth, I didn't know what would come out. Rage, tears, something worse. I turned and walked into the locker room. The next hour passed in a blur. I showered mechanically, changed, packed my bag. The other guys were celebrating, reliving the game's highlights, but their voices seemed distant, muffled. By the time I left the locker room, most of the team had already gone. I walked through the empty hallways toward the parking lot, my bag heavy on my shoulder. Jonah, wait up! Blaine jogged to catch up with me, still in his uniform, face flushed with excitement. Can you believe it? The scout wants me to visit campus next month. He basically said if I keep playing like this, a scholarship is almost guaranteed. I kept walking. That's great, Blaine. Great, it's incredible. This is everything we've worked for. I stopped, turned to face him. We? Yeah, you know what I mean. All the prep work paid off. Those sessions in your garage, worth every minute. Is that right? Something in my tone made him pause. What's wrong? I heard your interview with the scout. Blaine's expression shifted, just slightly, but I saw it. Guilt, maybe, or calculation. Oh, yeah, that was... You said nobody helped you. You said it was all natural talent. Jonah, come on, you know how these things work. I couldn't exactly tell him I have a tactical coach who's not even on the official staff. It would have raised questions. So instead you erased me completely. I didn't erase you. You're my best friend. You know how much I appreciate. Appreciate what? The free coaching? The 100 hours of tactical analysis? The strategies that made you look like a genius out there today? That's not fair. Blaine's voice hardened. I'm the one who goes out on that field. I'm the one who has to perform under pressure. You draw plays on a whiteboard. I execute them with 11 guys trying to stop me. Using my plans, my analysis, my tactical breakdown of every team we face. And I'm grateful for that. But let's be real here, Jonah. There's a reason I'm on the field and you're on the bench. Some people are born athletes, others... He stopped, seeming to realize what he was about to say. Others what? I demanded. Others are born to watch, born to support, born to make you look good? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Blaine sighed, running a hand through his hair. Look, you're smart, really smart. And yeah, you helped me prepare. But at the end of the day, talent is what matters. I have the physical tools, the instincts, the ability to perform when it counts. That's not something you can learn from a whiteboard. Each word was carefully chosen, designed to sound reasonable while cutting me down. You're right, I said quietly. I don't have your natural talent, but you don't have my tactical mind, and without it, you're just another fast striker who can't read the game. Blaine's face hardened. You really believe that? You think you're the reason for my success? I think I'm a big part of it. And I think you know that, which is why you spend every night before a big game in my garage, panicking about whether you'll freeze up. I come to you because you're my friend, because you're good at breaking down film, but don't confuse that with being essential. I could figure this stuff out on my own if I had to. Then why haven't you? The question hung between us, sharp and challenging. Blaine stepped closer, his voice dropping. You want to know the truth, Jonah? The real truth? You're jealous. You've been sitting on that bench for 3 years, watching me succeed, and you can't stand it. So you've convinced yourself that you're some kind of secret weapon, that I need you to be good. But here's what you don't want to admit. If our positions were reversed, if you were the one with the talent and I was on the bench, no amount of tactical genius would matter, because this game isn't played on a whiteboard. It's played on the field, and the field is where I belong and you don't. Something broke inside me, not loudly, not with drama or tears, just a quiet, final snap, like a bridge cable giving way. You're right, I said. The field is where you belong, so from now on, you're on your own there. No more sessions, no more tactical prep. No more breaking down opponents for you. You've got natural talent, use it. Blaine's expression flickered, surprise, then anger. Fine, I don't need you anyway. Good. I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Blaine call out, You're making a mistake, Jonah. You need this friendship more than I do. I didn't turn back. I just kept walking, my hands shaking, my throat tight. When I got home, my parents weren't there yet. I went straight to the garage and stared at the whiteboard covered with plays and strategies for Blaine's success. For a long moment, I just stood there. Then I picked up the eraser and wiped it clean. Every play, every notation, every piece of tactical genius I'd developed, gone. I grabbed the notebooks filled with scouting reports and game analysis and shoved them into a box. The printed articles, the statistical breakdowns, the formation diagrams, all of it went into the box. 3 years of work, packed away like it had never existed. But as I was clearing out the last drawer, my hand hit something at the back. A small camcorder I'd bought freshman year. And suddenly I remembered. I'd recorded some of our sessions. Not many, maybe a dozen or so over the past 2 years. Not for any particular reason, just because I'd had this vague idea about creating some kind of coaching portfolio for myself. Documentation of my analytical process. I'd forgotten all about it. With trembling hands, I pulled out the camcorder and connected it to my laptop. The files were all there. time-stamped and labeled. I opened the most recent one, from last Tuesday. The video showed my garage, the whiteboard visible in the frame. Then Blaine walked in, and his voice came through the speakers. "Thank God you're here. I'm freaking out about this game. I don't even know where to start with Lincoln's defense." My own voice. "That's what we're here for. Let's break it down together." For 2 hours, the video showed me doing all the work, analyzing, film, drawing plays, explaining tactical concepts, and Blaine, listening intently, asking questions, admitting repeatedly that he didn't understand the game the way I did. "I swear, Jonah, without these sessions I'd be lost out there," he said on camera. "You see things I'd never notice in a million years." "That's what friends are for," my recorded self replied. Friends. I scrolled through the other videos. They were all the same. Blaine coming to me for help, me providing detailed tactical breakdowns, him expressing gratitude and admitting his dependence on my analysis. Hours and hours of proof that everything Blaine claimed as natural talent came directly from my coaching. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the video files. What was I supposed to do with this? Show it to Coach Ketter, to the scout, expose Blaine publicly? The thought was tempting. God, it was tempting. But another part of me, the part that had been Blaine's friend since we were 8 years old, hesitated. If I did this, there was no going back. Our friendship would be over. His reputation would be destroyed. Everything he'd worked toward could vanish, even if he deserved it. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark garage, my mind spinning. Saturday morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing with notifications. Messages from teammates in the group chat, celebrating last night's victory. Somebody had posted photos of Blaine with the scout. Another message. Ketter for UW, calling it now. Nothing about the actual team effort. Nothing about Rowan's solid defending or the midfielder's passing. Just Blaine, Blaine, Blaine. I put my phone down and tried to focus on homework, but I couldn't concentrate. Every few minutes, my eyes drifted to the box of notebooks, to the laptop with the video files. Around noon, Rowan texted me privately. "You okay?" I stared at the message. Was I okay? My best friend had betrayed me, taken credit for years of my work, and told me I was nothing but a bench player who'd never belong on the field. "Not really," I typed back. "Want to talk about it?" "Not sure what there is to say." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "There's always something to say. Coffee?" 30 minutes later, I was sitting across from Rowan at a cafe near school. He waited until I had my drink before speaking. "So, what are you going to do?" "About what?" "Come on, Jonah, don't play dumb. About Blaine, about everything he said." I stirred my coffee, watching the cream swirl. "What can I do? He's not wrong about some of it. I'm on the bench. I don't have his physical talent. But you have something he doesn't. Something he needs and won't admit to." "Had, past tense. I'm done helping him." "Good. He doesn't deserve your help." Rowan leaned forward. "But that's not enough." "What do you mean?" "I mean, you can stop coaching him, and he'll probably struggle. Maybe he'll figure things out eventually, maybe he won't, but he'll still have the reputation, the scholarship offer, everything he's built on your work. That doesn't seem fair." "Life isn't fair." "No, but sometimes we can make it more fair." I met his eyes. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that you have value, Jonah. Real value that nobody sees because you've been hiding in someone else's shadow. Maybe it's time to step into the light." "How? Tell Coach Ketter? He'd never believe me over his own nephew." "Forget Coach Ketter. I'm talking about showing everyone, the team, the school, the scouts, what you can actually do, not on a whiteboard, on the field." My heart rate picked up. "I don't play." "Not yet, but there are 6 games left in the season. 6 opportunities for something to change. Devon's not going to get injured just because I want playing time. Maybe not. But Coach Ketter enters us in tournaments, right? Sometimes he rotates players in the less important games. And there's always practice. If you started showing out in scrimmages, started making plays that can't be ignored, Coach has made his decision about me. I'm not changing his mind. Then maybe the decision needs to be forced. Rowan pulled out his phone and pulled up the team's schedule. Next Friday, we have a game against Jefferson. Small school, not a threat. The following Tuesday is a tournament game against Madison. That one matters. If you could somehow get into the Jefferson game, prove yourself. Coach would never put me in. Not unless he had to. Rowan's expression was intense. What if Devon couldn't play? I'm not going to hurt Devon. I'm not talking about hurting anyone. I'm talking about Devon getting sick, or spraining something in practice, or having a family emergency. Things happen. I shook my head. That's too much. I can't control. You're right, you can't control it. But you can be ready for it. And if an opportunity comes, you can take it. He paused. Unless you'd rather just let Blaine keep taking credit for your work. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Rowan's words kept echoing in my head. 6 games left. 6 opportunities. But it wasn't just about playing time anymore. It was about something deeper. The need to prove that I belonged, that I was more than just the mind behind someone else's success. I opened my laptop and pulled up the video files again. Watched myself coaching Blaine. Teaching him everything he claimed came naturally. Then I opened a new document and started writing. Not plays for Blaine, not tactical breakdowns for someone else to execute. A plan for myself. Monday at practice, I kept my head down and worked harder than I had in months. Every drill, every exercise, I pushed myself to the limit. During scrimmages, I made saves I'd usually let go, called out plays I'd normally keep to myself. Coach Ketter noticed. Good energy today, Whitlock. Keep it up. It wasn't much, but it was something. Blaine, meanwhile, seemed off. During the scrimmage, he missed 2 easy shots and got frustrated when plays broke down. At one point, he looked toward me like he was about to ask for advice, then seemed to remember our fight and turned away. Good. Let him figure it out alone. After practice, as I was leaving the locker room, Coach Ketter called me aside. Whitlock, got a minute? My heart jumped. Yes, Coach? I wanted to talk to you about your role on the team. You've been with us 3 years now, and you've been a solid presence. Good attitude, good work ethic. I waited, not sure where this was going. I know you haven't seen much playing time, he continued. That's nothing against you personally. Devon's a senior, and we need consistency in goal. But I want you to know you're valued. Sometimes the guys who don't play are just as important as the ones who do. It was meant to be encouraging, but all I heard was, you're important because you accept not playing. Thanks, Coach, I managed. Keep working hard. Your time will come. Except it wouldn't. Not unless something changed. That something came on Wednesday. I was in the library during free period when Rowan slid into the seat across from me. Devon's out, he said quietly. I looked up from my textbook. What? Overheard him talking to Coach. He rolled his ankle pretty bad at practice yesterday. Probably out for this Friday's game, maybe longer. My pulse quickened. How bad? Bad enough. Coach is going to have to play you. Friday, against Jefferson, the opportunity Rowan had mentioned. But instead of excitement, I felt fear. 3 years on the bench, and suddenly I'd be thrown into a real game? What if I froze? What if I proved Coach right, that I belonged on the bench? I can see you panicking, Rowan said. Don't. You've been preparing for this longer than you know. You're ready. How can you be sure? Because I've watched you in practice. You're better than Devon, Jonah. You always have been. The only difference is he's been given chances to prove it and you haven't. Until now. That night, I went back to my garage and pulled out the box of notebooks. My own tactical analysis, but this time, I studied it differently. Not thinking about how Blaine could use this information, but how I could. I watched film of Jefferson's forwards, studied their shooting tendencies, their preferred angles. I mapped out where I needed to position myself, how to cut down their shooting lanes. For the first time in 3 years, I was preparing for myself. Friday arrived faster than I expected. In the locker room before the game, Coach Ketter confirmed what Rowan had told me. Devin's ankle isn't ready. Whitlock, you're starting in goal today. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to me. Yes, Coach, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Blaine was staring at me from across the locker room, his expression unreadable. As we took the field for warm-ups, my hands were shaking. I'd been waiting for this moment for 3 years, and now that it was here, I was terrified. Hey, Rowan jogged up beside me. You've got this. Just play your game. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, but at least you'll be on the field, not watching from the bench. The whistle blew, and the game started. For the first 10 minutes, Jefferson didn't test me much. Our defense was solid, keeping them away from dangerous areas. But I stayed focused, reading the game, positioning myself, communicating with my defenders. Then, in the 15th minute, Jefferson's striker broke through. Time seemed to slow. I saw him coming, one-on-one, exactly like the scenarios I'd studied. He was right-footed, preferred to shoot low to the keeper's left. I held my ground, didn't commit early, waited. He shot. Low, left, exactly as I'd predicted. I dove, felt the ball hit my hands, held on. Save. The crowd cheered. My defenders slapped me on the back. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I belonged on this field. The game continued. Jefferson pressed harder, creating more chances. I made 3 more saves in the first half, one of them a diving stop that drew gasps from the crowd. At halftime, we were up 1-0. Blaine had scored, but it was a scrappy goal, nothing like his usual clinical finishing. In the locker room, Coach Ketter was animated. Great first half, boys. Whitlock, excellent work in goal. Keep it up. I caught Blaine watching me, and for a moment, our eyes met. I couldn't read his expression. Anger? Resentment? Maybe a flicker of respect? The second half was tougher. Jefferson came out aggressive, desperate to equalize. I was tested again and again, making save after save. Then, in the 73rd minute, disaster. Jefferson's winger crossed the ball in, and one of our defenders tried to clear it. But he mistimed his header, and the ball looped toward our goal. I was caught out of position, having stepped off my line to cut down the angle on the initial cross. The ball sailed over my head, drifting toward the top corner, for a split second. I thought it was over. We'd concede, and it would be my fault for being out of position, but I'd studied this, practiced it. Countless hours working on my reaction speed, my ability to recover. I launched myself backward, fully extended, and got my fingertips to the ball, just enough to push it over the crossbar. The crowd erupted. "Jonah!" Rowan screamed from the field. "Holy shit!" Even Coach Ketter was on his feet, applauding. From the corner kick, our defense held firm. Then we cleared the ball upfield, and Blaine put the game away with a second goal. Final whistle 2-0. We'd won, and I'd posted a clean sheet in my first real game. The team celebrated, but I felt different than I expected. Not elation exactly, more like relief, proof. I'd done it. I'd shown I belonged. In the locker room afterward, Coach Ketter pulled me aside again. "Whitlock, that was outstanding. I don't know why I waited so long to give you a shot. Devin's injury might be the best thing that happened to this team. I wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. 3 years of waiting, and it took someone else getting hurt for me to get a chance. Thanks, coach, I said. As I was packing up my bag, Blaine approached. The locker room was mostly empty now. Nice game, he said stiffly. Thanks. Look, about what I said last week, don't, I cut him off. You meant every word. Let's not pretend otherwise. I was angry. You were attacking my abilities. I was telling the truth, and you couldn't handle it. Blaine's jaw tightened. You really think you're better than me now? One good game against Jefferson, and suddenly you're a star? I don't think I'm better than you, Blaine. I think I'm good at what I do, just like you're good at what you do. The difference is, I've never needed to diminish you to feel good about myself. That's bullshit. You've been resenting me for years. Because you took credit for my work, because you acted like everything I did, for you was worthless. I never said it was worthless. You said nobody helped you. You said it was all natural talent. You erased 3 years of work in one sentence. Blaine opened his mouth, closed it. For once, he had nothing to say. I'm done with this conversation, I said, shouldering my bag. And I'm done being your secret weapon. From now on, you're on your own. I walked out, leaving him standing there. Over the weekend, I got texts from teammates congratulating me on the game. Even some people from school who'd never talked to me before reached out. It felt strange, being visible after so long in the shadows. Monday at practice, Coach Ketter made an announcement. Devin's ankle is worse than we thought. He's out for at least 2 more weeks, possibly the rest of the season. Whitlock, you're our starting keeper until further notice. My starting position, finally. But as I looked around the locker room, I saw Blaine's face. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the floor, his expression troubled. Without our sessions, without my tactical guidance, he was struggling. I could see it in his body language, the way he hesitated before answering Coach's questions about strategy. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt vindicated. Mostly I felt sad. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. We were supposed to succeed together, best friends supporting each other. But that wasn't the reality. It never had been. Tuesday's practice was rough for Blaine. He missed easy passes, made poor decisions, seemed out of sync with the team. Coach Ketter called him out twice for not recognizing obvious opportunities. After practice, I saw Blaine sitting alone in the locker room, head in his hands. Every instinct told me to go to him, to help like I always had, but I didn't. I changed and left. That weekend was the tournament game against Madison, our biggest challenge of the season. They were ranked 3rd in the state, fast and aggressive. I spent the week preparing like I'd never prepared before. Studied film, analyzed their forwards, mapped out strategies. But this time, all of it was for me. My positioning, my saves, my game. Friday night, lying in bed before the game, my phone buzzed. A text from Blaine. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long time before responding. Nothing to talk about. Please, just give me 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at school early Saturday morning, before the team gathered. He was waiting by the gym entrance when I arrived, looking exhausted. Thanks for coming, he said. You've got 5 minutes. I screwed up. What I said about you, about your contribution, it was wrong. You've been helping me for years, and I took it for granted. Worse, I dismissed it. I'm sorry. The apology sounded genuine, but I'd heard Blaine apologize before. He was good at it, making you feel like he really meant it. Okay, I said. Apology noted. That's it? What else do you want, Blaine? You made your feelings clear. I'm just the guy on the bench who draws plays on a whiteboard. Not essential, easily replaced. I didn't mean, yes, you did, and you know what? Maybe you were right. Maybe I was too comfortable being in your shadow, convincing myself I was important when really I was just there. But I'm not doing that anymore. So what, we're not friends anymore? The question hurt more than I expected. "I don't know," I admitted. "I don't know if we can be friends when every success I have feels like a threat to you." "That's not fair, isn't it? I had one good game, and you couldn't even be happy for me." You immediately tried to downplay it. Blaine looked away, and I knew I'd hit the truth. "I need to focus on today's game," I said. "Whatever this is between us, we can figure it out later, or not. But right now, I need to be ready." "Right, yeah, good luck." I walked away, and this time, the sadness was overwhelming. The game against Madison was brutal. They came out aggressive, pressing high, creating chance after chance. I was tested immediately. A point-blank shot in the 3rd minute that I somehow deflected over the bar. The game was relentless. Madison's forwards were fast, technical, always moving. I had to stay sharp every second. 27th minute, a diving save to my left. 42nd minute, a reaction stop from a deflection. Just before halftime, a one-on-one that I won by making myself big and forcing the shooter wide. 0-0 at the break. In the locker room, I could barely catch my breath. Coach Ketter put his hand on my shoulder. "You're keeping us in this game, Whitlock. Whatever happens, be proud of what you're doing out there." The second half was more of the same. Madison dominated possession, but our defense held strong, and I made save after save. My hands were numb from the cold and the impact of shots. My knees were scraped from diving on the turf, but I wasn't giving up a goal. 78th minute, Rowan cleared a ball upfield to Blaine. I watched him try to make a run, hesitate, unsure of the spacing. The opportunity died. 83rd minute, another Madison attack. Their striker got past our last defender and was through on goal, just me and him. I'd seen this player's tendencies on film. He always tried to place it, never going for power. Low, to the keeper's right. I waited. Trusted my preparation, trusted myself. He shot, low, right. I dove and caught it clean. The crowd went wild. 90 seconds left. We just had to hold on. Madison threw everything forward. Corner kick, everyone in the box. The ball came in, chaos everywhere, bodies colliding. The ball pinged around, and suddenly it was bouncing toward goal. I threw myself at it, got a hand to it, pushed it wide. Final whistle. 0-0. A draw, but it felt like a victory. Madison hadn't scored against anyone all season, and I'd shut them out. The team mobbed me. Rowan lifted me off the ground, screaming. Even players who'd barely spoken to me before were congratulating me, celebrating. I'd done it. Proved myself against one of the best teams in the state. And through the celebration, I saw Blaine standing apart, watching. Our eyes met, and I saw something there I'd never seen before. Respect, and maybe fear. Fear that he wasn't the only star anymore. That night, my phone exploded with messages, not just from teammates, but from people I didn't even know. Apparently, someone had posted highlights of my saves online, and they were getting shared around. The next morning, I woke up to an email that made my heart stop. It was from the University of Washington scout, the same one who'd interviewed Blaine. "Jonah, I was at your game yesterday against Madison. Impressive performance. I'd like to talk to you about opportunities at UW. Would you be available for a call this week? Best, Marcus Webb." I read it 3 times to make sure it was real. A scout wanted to talk to me, not as Blaine's supporting act, as a player in my own right. I forwarded the email to Rowan with a single word: "Holy shit." His response came immediately: "Told you, you're not just a whiteboard guy." Monday at school, everything felt different. People I'd never spoken to stopped me in the halls to talk about the Madison game. The school's Instagram posted highlights with the caption "Whitlock Wall." It was surreal. 3 years of invisibility, and suddenly everyone saw me. But not everyone was celebrating. At lunch, I was sitting with Rowan and some other guys from the team when Blaine walked past our table. He didn't stop, didn't say anything, just kept walking. He's taking it hard, Rowan observed. Taking what hard? You, your success, the fact that the scout wants to talk to you. How do you know about the scout? Word travels. Also, Blaine was talking about it in the locker room, not in a good way. I felt a twinge of guilt, but pushed it down. Blaine had made his choice. I wasn't responsible for his feelings. That afternoon at practice, the tension was obvious. During drills, Blaine was sloppy, unfocused. Coach Ketter had to correct him multiple times. Ketter, what's going on with you? Get your head in the game. Sorry, coach. But he wasn't sorry, he was angry. During scrimmage, Blaine took a shot that I saved easily. He stood there for a moment, glaring at me, then jogged back without a word. After practice, as I was leaving, Blaine finally confronted me. Must feel good, huh? He said. What? Stealing my spotlight, getting attention from my scout. Your scout? He's not your property, Blaine. You know what I mean. This was supposed to be my season, my moment, and you're ruining it. I'm not ruining anything. I'm just playing soccer. You're playing politics, trying to make me look bad so you look better. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You really think this is about you? Everything has to be about you? Don't act innocent. You've been waiting for this, waiting for a chance to show me up. You showed yourself up, Blaine. The moment you told that scout nobody helped you, you showed exactly who you are. I'm just finally showing who I am. And who's that? The backup who got lucky? The words stung, but I kept my voice level. No, the player who worked his ass off for 3 years and finally got a chance to prove it. That's who I am. You wouldn't even have that chance if Devin hadn't gotten hurt. Yeah, and you wouldn't have half your goals without my tactical breakdowns. But you don't want to talk about that, do you? Blaine stepped closer, his voice dropping. You really want to go there? You want to talk about all the hours I put in on the field while you sat in your garage drawing pictures? About the sacrifices I made, the work I put in? I'm not denying you work hard, Blaine. I'm saying you didn't do it alone, and pretending you did is a lie. A lie? That's rich, coming from someone who's been recording our sessions without telling me. My blood went cold. How do you... I found out, Jonah, about the videos, about your little insurance policy. Shit. I'd been so careful to keep those files private. How had he found out? It wasn't insurance. I was documenting my coaching process. You were collecting evidence, ammunition, waiting for the right moment to destroy me. That's not true. Then why haven't you deleted them? Why are they still sitting on your laptop, ready to go? Because part of me wanted the option. Part of me wanted the ability to prove what I'd contributed, if it ever came to that. But I couldn't say that out loud. Those videos are private, I said instead. For now. But what happens when you decide they're not? When you decide to send them to the scout, or to coach, or post them online? I wouldn't you? You've already decided I'm the villain in your story. Why not go all the way? Destroy my reputation, my scholarship chances, everything. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong. But the truth was, I had thought about it. Late at night, when the anger and resentment were strongest, I'd imagined showing everyone the videos, exposing Blaine's dependence on me. I'd imagined the satisfaction of watching his perfect image crumble. But I hadn't done it, and I wouldn't. I'm not going to release those videos, I said quietly. They were never meant to hurt you. They were meant to help me. Help you how? Build a portfolio, show colleges that I understand the game, that I can analyze and teach. I was thinking about sports psychology, coaching, that kind of thing. The videos were for me, not against you. Blaine studied me for a long moment. I don't believe you. I don't care if you believe me. It's the truth. He shook his head. You know what your problem is, Jonah? You can't stand that I'm better than you. So you've convinced yourself that you're the secret to my success, that without you, I'm nothing. But here's reality. I'm a Division I athlete. You're a backup keeper who got lucky, and no amount of videos or highlights is going to change that. Each word was designed to cut, and they did. You're right about one thing, I said. I can't stand something, but it's not that you're better than me. It's that you're so insecure you can't admit when someone helps you. You'd rather tear me down than acknowledge what I contributed. That's what I can't stand. I walked away before he could respond, my hands shaking with anger. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation, Blaine's words echoing in my head. Backup keeper who got lucky. Was that all I was? Had the Madison game been a fluke? Would I fade back into obscurity once Devin came back? Around midnight, I got a text from Rowan. You awake? Yeah. Come outside. I'm in your driveway. I pulled on a sweatshirt and went out to find Rowan sitting in his car. Get in, he said. We drove in silence for a few minutes before Rowan pulled into the empty parking lot of our school. Talk to me, he said. So I did. I told him everything. The fight with Blaine, the accusations about the videos, the doubts creeping into my mind. Rowan listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. You know what I think? He finally said. I think Blaine's scared. Of what? Of you. Of the fact that you're good enough to succeed without him, but he might not be good enough to succeed without you. That's why he's lashing out. That's why he's trying to make you doubt yourself. Maybe he's right, though. Maybe I did get lucky. Stop. You didn't get lucky. You were prepared. You studied. You trained. You put in the work. And when the opportunity came, you seized it. That's not luck. That's skill. But Devin will come back. Maybe, or maybe coach realizes he's got something special in you and decides to make you the starter. Either way, you've proven you belong. Nobody can take that away from you. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. What about the videos? I asked. Should I delete them? Do you want to? Part of me does. Part of me wants to just move on, forget about all of this. And the other part? The other part wanted justice, wanted acknowledgement, wanted the world to know the truth about who had built Blaine's success. The other part wants people to know, I admitted. Not to hurt him, just to be seen, to have my contribution recognized. Rowan nodded slowly. Then don't delete them, keep them. Not as a weapon, but as a record. Proof of what you did in case you ever need it. That feels wrong. Why? Blaine's been taking credit for your work for 3 years. Having evidence of the truth isn't wrong, it's just insurance. Insurance. The same word Blaine had used, but somehow, coming from Rowan, it felt different, not malicious, just practical. Maybe, I said. We sat there for a while longer, and eventually, the tension in my chest started to ease. Thanks, I said. For this, for believing in me. That's what friends do, Rowan said. Real friends. The rest of the week was tense. Blaine and I didn't speak, moving around each other at practice like strangers. The team noticed, how could they not? But nobody said anything. Friday was our game against Roosevelt. A mid-tier team we should beat easily. I was starting in goal again, and I was determined to post another clean sheet. The game was relatively uneventful. Roosevelt wasn't particularly threatening, and our defense was solid. I made a few routine saves, nothing spectacular, but in the 72nd minute, something changed. Roosevelt's winger made a run down the right side, cutting inside past our defender. He had space, time to shoot. I positioned myself, ready for the shot. But instead of shooting, he passed across the goal to his teammate, who had a wide-open net. Everything slowed down. I was caught on the wrong side of the goal, completely out of position. The Roosevelt forward just had to tap it in. Then, from nowhere, Blaine appeared. He'd tracked back on defense, something he almost never did, and threw himself in front of the shot. The ball hit him and bounced away. Crisis averted. I stared at him in shock. Blaine, who prioritized defense over everything, had just made a defensive play to save my clean sheet. He got up slowly, not looking at me, and jogged back upfield. We won 3-0, another shutout for me. After the game, I tried to catch Blaine in the locker room to thank him for the defensive stop, but by the time I'd showered and changed, he was already gone. Sunday morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Jonah, this is Marcus Webb from University of Washington. My heart jumped into my throat. Yes, hi. Thank you for reaching out. Of course. Listen, I don't usually do this, but after watching your performances the last few weeks, I wanted to talk to you personally. You've shown incredible tactical awareness and technical skill. How would you feel about coming up to visit campus? We'd like to discuss potential opportunities. This was real. This was actually happening. Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. Great. I'll have my assistant reach out with details. In the meantime, keep doing what you're doing. You've got a bright future ahead of you, Jonah. After we hung up, I just sat there, phone in hand, trying to process what had just happened. A college scout from a Division I school wanted me to visit, wanted to discuss opportunities. Me, the backup keeper, the invisible guy. I called Rowan immediately, and he screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I told you this would happen. I can't believe it. I literally can't believe it. Believe it, man, you earned this. Every second of it. Monday at school, word had spread about the UW interest. My phone was blowing up with congratulations. Even people I'd never spoken to were stopping me in the halls, but the person I most wanted to talk to, the person who should have been celebrating with me, was avoiding me completely. At lunch, I finally spotted Blaine, sitting alone at a table in the corner of the cafeteria. He was picking at his food, not eating, just staring into space. Against my better judgment, I walked over. Can I sit? He looked up surprised. For a moment, I thought he'd tell me to leave, but he just shrugged. I sat down across from him. I heard about UW, he said quietly. Congratulations. Thanks. Silence stretched between us. I'm sorry, Blaine said suddenly, for what I said. About you getting lucky, about the videos, all of it. I was being an asshole. Yeah, you were. I was scared, still am, honestly. Of what? Of being exposed, of everyone realizing I'm not as good as they think I am, of losing everything I've worked for. His honesty caught me off guard. Without our sessions, he continued, I feel lost out there, like I'm playing a different game than everyone else. I see the field, but I don't understand it, not the way you do. Blaine, let me finish, please. He took a breath. You were right. Everything you said. I built my reputation on your tactical mind, and then I tried to pretend it didn't matter. I took credit for your work because I was terrified of admitting I needed help. Terrified that if people knew the truth, they'd see me as a fraud. I'd imagined this moment, Blaine admitting what I'd contributed, acknowledging my role in his success. I'd imagined feeling vindicated, triumphant. But sitting here now, watching my oldest friend struggle with his insecurity, I just felt sad. You're not a fraud, I said. You're talented, Blaine, really talented. The physical tools, the speed, the finishing, that's all you. What I did was help you understand how to use those tools more effectively. But the raw ability, that's yours. Then why can't I do it without you? Because talent alone isn't enough. The best players combine physical ability with tactical understanding. Most people develop both over time. You just separated them. Let me handle one part while you focused on the other. Blaine was quiet for a long time. I don't know if I can learn it, he said finally. The tactical stuff, it doesn't come naturally to me. It doesn't come naturally to anyone. It's a skill, like any other. You have to practice it. Will you teach me? Really teach me, I mean. Not just tell me what to do before games, but help me understand why. Help me learn to see the game the way you do. I studied him. This was what I'd wanted. Stories like this happen more often than we think, but it also felt like another request for me to make him better, usually stay while staying in the shadows. And if this story made you pause, I have to think about it. Helps the channel grow. That's fair. I understand. I stood to leave, then paused. That defensive play you made Friday, against Roosevelt, that was smart. Good awareness. A small smile crossed his face. Thanks. I've been trying to think more defensively. Figure out where I need to be even when I don't have the ball. Keep doing that, you're learning. As I walked away, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness exactly, but maybe the beginning of understanding. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. We had 3 more games, and I started all 3. 2 more clean sheets, and in the 3rd game, we won 4-1, with me making several key saves. Devin's ankle was healing, but Coach Ketter told me I'd earned the starting position. You've been phenomenal, Whitlock. The position is yours. My campus visit to UW was scheduled for the following month. They were talking about a scholarship, a real Division I scholarship. Everything I dreamed about was finally happening, but there was still unfinished business. 3 days before our final regular season game, the one that would determine if we made the playoffs, I asked Blaine to meet me at my garage. He showed up right on time, looking nervous. Thanks for coming, I said. Of course, what's up? I'd spent the last week thinking about what Rowan had said, about Blaine's apology, about everything that had happened, and I'd made a decision. I pulled out my laptop and opened the folder with the video files. Blaine's face went pale. Jonah, listen. I'm deleting them, I said. What? The videos, all of them. I'm deleting them. Why? Because I don't need them anymore. I don't need to prove what I contributed. I know what I did, and that's enough. Plus, keeping them, it's not who I want to be. I don't want to hold this over you. I don't want our friendship, if we still have one, to be based on fear or obligation. Blaine stared at me. You're serious? Yeah, but these are your insurance, your proof. I know, but I'd rather move forward than keep looking back. I selected all the files and dragged them to the trash. Then I emptied the trash, permanently deleting years of evidence. There, I said. Gone. Blaine looked like he might cry. I don't deserve this. After everything I said, no you don't, but I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. I'm choosing to let go of the resentment, the anger, all of it. It's been eating at me, making me bitter. I don't want to be that person. Thank you, he said quietly. Truly. We sat in silence for a moment. So, Blaine said eventually, where do we go from here? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure we can go back to how things were. Too much has changed. Yeah, I know. But maybe we don't need to go back. Maybe we can figure out something new. Something more honest. I'd like that. Me too. Blaine stood to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you've accomplished, the recognition you're getting, you earned all of it. And I'm sorry it took me so long to say that. After he left, I sat in my garage for a long time, looking at the empty whiteboard. For 3 years, it had been covered with plays and strategies for someone else's success. Now it was blank, ready for whatever I wanted to create next. Our final regular season game was against Lincoln, the same team we'd played earlier in the season when Blaine had his hat trick. They were good, motivated by revenge, and they came out aggressive, but we were ready. In the 23rd minute, Lincoln had a dangerous free kick just outside our box. Their striker stepped up, the same guy who'd been tearing apart defenses all season. As he prepared to shoot, I saw Blaine organizing our defensive wall, positioning players exactly where they needed to be, talking them through the coverage. He was learning, actually learning. The shot came, curling toward the top corner. I read it perfectly, timing my dive, and pushed it wide. The crowd erupted. From the resulting corner, we cleared the ball upfield. Blaine made a run, calling for the ball over the top. Exactly the kind of movement I'd taught him years ago, but this time, I could see him reading the space himself, understanding why it would work. He received the pass, took one touch, and slotted it past the keeper. 1-0. As the team celebrated, Blaine looked back toward me in goal and pointed. A small gesture, but it meant everything. We won 3-0. Another clean sheet, and we'd secured our spot in the playoffs. After the game, both Blaine and I were approached by scouts. Different scouts from different schools, but both interested. For the first time, we were being recognized together, not as star and supporting act, but as two players with unique skills and potential. "Looks like we both made it," Blaine said after the scouts left. "Yeah, we did. Think we'll end up at the same school?" "I don't know, maybe. Would that be weird?" "Probably, but it might be good too. Fresh start, you know." "Yeah, fresh start." As I packed up my gear, Rowan came over. "So, you did it." "We did it. Couldn't have happened without you believing in me." "That's what real friends do, remember?" He grinned. "So what now? You're getting college offers, playoff games ahead, everything you wanted. How does it feel?" I thought about it. 3 years of invisibility, months of resentment and anger, the painful confrontations, the difficult choices, the slow process of finding my own voice. "It feels like I finally belong," I said. "Not in someone else's shadow, just here, on this field, in this life." "Good, because you do belong, always have. Some of us just needed longer to see it." The playoffs were 3 weeks away, 3 weeks to prepare, to keep proving myself, to build on everything I'd accomplished. But for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't preparing for someone else's success. I was preparing for my own, and that made all the difference. 6 months later, the University of Washington offered me a partial scholarship. Not a full ride like Blaine got to Oregon State, but enough. Combined with academic scholarships and financial aid, I could make it work. Blaine and I stayed in touch, not best friends, like we used to be. Too much had happened for that, but friends nonetheless. Real friends, the kind who could be honest with each other. He was doing well at Oregon State, though he'd admitted in a recent call that he was working with a tactical coach to improve his game IQ. "Turns out you were right," he'd said. "Talent only gets you so far." I'd laughed, but there was no bitterness in it. Just satisfaction that he was finally learning what I'd tried to teach him years ago. Rowan got recruited to play at a Division II school and was loving it. We talked every week, and he never let me forget that he'd been the one who pushed me to step out of the shadows. "I'm just saying, you'd still be on the bench if I hadn't kicked your ass into gear," he liked to joke. He wasn't entirely wrong. As for me, I was learning that success wasn't about being the star or getting the glory. It was about understanding your value, refusing to be invisible, and finding the courage to claim your own space. I'd spent 3 years thinking I needed to make someone else shine to matter. It took losing everything, the friendship, the role, the identity I'd built, to realize I could shine on my own. The whiteboard in my garage still sits there, mostly empty now. Sometimes I use it to diagram plays for myself, to break down games I've watched, to continue developing my tactical mind. But I don't do it for anyone else anymore. I do it for me. And that finally is enough. Stories like this happen more often than we think. Subscribe if you want to hear the ones that usually stay unspoken. And if this story made you pause, a like helps the channel grow.